Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. We're learning today about chosen people and chosen places. Are all places equal? Are all people equal? So modern thought, culture, society loves to speak about egalitarianism while it's filled with ironies. It's filled with inconsistencies. You know, we believe that all people have the right to live, except if they disagree with your your opinion, right? Or they protest the injustice against the underdog, unless there are no Jews involved, right? You know, 80,000 executed in Iran, according to many reports. Not a sound from the college campuses. Right, one Arab in Gaza throws a stone at a soldier and gets shot at, and they're running amok. Same thing with border control and other and all sorts of other inconsistencies. You know, people love to say that they're open-minded until you disagree with them. Right, and then they're not open-minded anymore. Or you're just wrong. They are open-minded. You're just wrong. Right? Kuzari, who is Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, we're talking about 12th century right now, is Rabbi Yehuda Chassid was really 9th century. This was compiled by Rabbi Yehuda Levi, in the 12th century, recording the debates that happened between the king of the Khazars and the rabbi, the imam, Muslim, the priest, and a philosopher, right? Now, we're working our way, Aristotelian, you said, right? We're working our way through the introduction to the Kuzari. So I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit because we've got a lot of pages to go through here. And at the pace we're going, we're not going to get very far. So I'd like to pick it up and move. We're on page 11 if you have the book with you. It is available on Safaria, by the way, in case you don't have it. Safaria.org or something is a free Jewish library online, okay? So let's go straight into it. We're on page 11. We're going to work on to the chosen people first before we go to the chosen place as well. All right. So Kuzari explains, or will explain, that Jewish people are chosen because God chooses to dwell his presence upon certain people and not others. Now, we're going to discuss about whether that's racist or not. Does it sound racist?
There are objections.
There are objections. Why would there be objections?
Because you hear sentiments like, why should the Jews consider themselves a privileged people if they would presume?
Yet the very same person, yet the very same person that makes that objection has no objection with choosing their own spouse, right?
Yeah, but this is Hashem. Go ahead.
Fine. They have no objection with choosing their own spouse. And
that's not parallel.
Why is that not parallel?
Well, I think the consequence of choosing your wife is at one level. The consequence of God.
So you want to differentiate
all other religions and all other people. I think that's at a higher level of consequence.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's in your own.
Agree with you on that.
Well, of course.
That's in your own differentiation. Right?
Most of us agree with.
In other words, you created a frame of reference, right? Which you've decided is the red line. In other words, I'm okay with differentiation. I'm okay with giving people classes when it comes to my choices. But God has no right to do that.
Started by is everything equal? So I'm just espousing a point.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Not everything is equal.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly what I'm saying. Not everything is equal. Let me ask another question. Do you have a problem with me becoming president of the United States?
Yes.
I mean, I was born in Africa. So does that mean my blood is not as red as yours?
No African American.
Yeah, I'm African American. What's wrong with that?
I will vote for African American.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
We did that once.
I was born in South Africa. Why do you have a problem? You can become president. My son can become president. I can't.
It's against the law.
I know it's against the law, of course. My point is, why aren't all people the same?
They made a grip at a king.
Right, exactly. So my point is that we are okay with differentiation when it comes to personal choices. We're even okay when it comes to national choices, right? Just God doesn't have that right. Why would God not have the same rights as people? Why not? I would think God should have more rights than people. I mean, he is the master of the
Because
universe.
he's omnipotent and the creator of all.
Therefore-
that his empathy extends fully to all and not.
Okay, so you're going to argue that his empathy should extend to all.
His image.
But how do you know? And he's arguing a very good point. Yeah, he's being devil's advocate. But Rob is saying a good point. We're created in his image. And obviously, if we have freedom of choice, then he should have freedom of choice as well. I mean, at the very least, God should have what his creations have. I mean, it's only fair, right? Again, Steve, your devil's advocate argument is assuming that there's something righteous about egalitarianism.
From the creator.
How do you know there's something
Okay,
righteous about it? In fact, when
there is
Moses
certain
is faced with a rebellion in the Torah, high drama in the Torah, his own cousin Korach comes and accuses him of nepotism, and what does he want instead? He said, "Why should you appoint your own nephew to be the leader of the clan? Who should be appointed leader of the clan? Me." He wants to replace one kind of nepotism with another kind of nepotism, right? But Moses' response is classic. Moshe says, I mean, amongst the other complaints that they had were, why is there different hierarchy within the Jewish people? Why is there Kohanim and Levites and Israelites? Why? We don't believe in hierarchy. Ki kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. The whole congregation is all equally righteous. We're all the same. We all should be high priests before God. Right? And that's what Moses says, okay, so let's see. Everybody should offer the fire incense, which is a lethal offering to the wrong person. And they died. The people that brought the incense offering, they were not inappropriate. They were unworthy. They died. But Moses says something magnificent, which Rashi highlights. He says, Boiker, in the morning you will see. And Rashi points out, why does he have to say in the morning you will see? Because just like God created the differentiation between morning and evening, between day and night, between winter and summer, between hot and cold, between up and down. These are differentiations that God built into the universe. And therefore, if everything was even Steven, we should always be awake. There should be no such thing as conscious and unconscious, asleep and awake, healthy and unhealthy. Why? Why the differences? Everything should be the same, up and down. Right? Cold summer and winter should all be the same. The fact Moses says that God created these divisions means that these divisions are good, means that these divisions are necessary, and it's not up to you to impose upon God your perceived clarity of utopia. In other words, just because you as a mortal being think that everyone should be the same, even Stephen, that doesn't mean that is the highest aspiration. In fact, it isn't, because God didn't do it that way. And that goes as Moses' answer. Let's see this. If you don't believe in God, then you don't believe the Jews are better. I don't believe the Jews are better, brother. Hello, let me be clear. I do not believe that the Jews are better. Chosen. Do you believe your wife is better than any other woman in the world?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Really?
You don't believe it? Ask her.
Really?
I'm not answering.
Well, we're
that with
sort of
us.
on the record here.
I beg to differ. Not about your wife. About all. I mean, seriously, are you under the delusion? Are you under the delusion that the person that you married is the absolute best in the whole wide world? Don't you think that's delusional?
No, that's for you.
Oh, maybe the best for me. But to say that the person I married is the smartest, the most beautiful, the boldest, I mean, come on, let's not delude ourselves.
Wait.
My lawyer is telling me stop.
Sure.
Stop.
So Kuzari says,
Your wife is not listening. Yeah, you better be
she
careful.
definitely is.
You're a deep cock.
Yeah, my lawyers are advising against.
Tone it down.
Quit while you're behind, Rabbi.
Right. You're behind her. Hashem wants you to put her on a pedestal.
I'm just thinking like this. I think that it's important to understand
Shalom's learning something.
that the chosenness of the chosen people doesn't mean that we're better. It just means that we're more responsible. Let me just process that.
Particular mission.
We're chosen for a mission. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like,
Just like I said to my friend, the Spanish have a particular mission too.
yeah.
Hayaya.
No, everyone's got an assignment. In other words, is if you're in a Ford factory, if you're in a Ford mass production factory, right? Is the guy that puts the doors on more talented than the guy that puts the windows on? No, the guy that puts the doors on, his job is to put the doors on. And if you start asking him about windows, he's going to say, listen, it's not my thing. But it's not that he's better. It's just that that's his responsibility. So we have a responsibility. We're chosen for one responsibility, for a very specific responsibility, which we can talk about, bringing Hashem into this world. What were you about to say?
But I was saying it's easy if you're not Jewish and you don't understand why we were chosen. It's easy to interpret chosen to be privileged
and to be xenophobic and to be
Yes,
condescending and to be divisive. Yeah, of course, it's easy to see that, but that's not the actual meaning of it.
Right.
I mean, does anybody accuse you of being a xenophobe because you chose your wife?
I don't think so.
Right.
My ex-wife.
Because
Sorry.
Jen, what were you saying? Jen, what were you saying?
Thing about a wife. Hashem wants you to put her on a pedestal.
Yeah. Now, do you put her on a pedestal because she's amazing, or is she amazing because you put her on a pedestal?
You thought she was amazing before she even met her.
I think that marriage is an exercise in humility, profound exercise in great levels, depths of humility, where you come to realize that the person that I married is the one that I'm committed to, right? And I'm going to make it work, right? Unlike the Hollywood marriages where they marry the soccer player with a $40 million contract, and the moment he breaks his leg or says something that gets him ejected from the team, the marriage is over, and you're like, that was amazing. At the same time, it's like so surprising that the marriage ended at the same time as the sports contract ended. Like, I don't know why that happened, right? Because, right? So it's interesting. We read in the parsha this week that when the Jewish people came to the Red Sea, they were ish echad b'lev echad. They were like one man with one heart. When Pharaoh chases the Jews, it says they were, what does it say? B'lev echad ki ish echad. They were one heart, one man, which is the other way around, right? So the anti-Semites, they unite around each other based on an idea. They have one heart, one conviction, and therefore they become one man. But for the Jews, it's the other way around. I don't care if you disagree with me. I'm not uniting with you because we think the same. I'm uniting with you because my commitment is to you. You're my brother. You're my wife. So I'm committed to you, and therefore we have one heart. It's not that because we agree one heart, so therefore we're one man. That's maybe the non-Jewish or the anti-Semitic approach. The Jewish approach is we are Arevim Zelazeh. We're responsible one for another. We're in this together. We're brothers, and therefore I'll take a bullet for you, which manifests in us sharing ideas, right? So same thing with marriage. Marriage is like, look, I have a commitment to you, and we at the marriage we cover the woman with the veil. And I often say this, why are you covering the woman with the veil? Why? She spent 18 hours getting ready with the makeup and the hair and the blush and whatever else she'd put over there, right? The groom got dressed in 1.8 minutes flat, right? You want to cover him. Why cover her? Yeah, cover someone, cover his face. I mean, there's nothing much to see there. But her face, there's so much to see. It's beautiful, right?
Yeah, but blame it on later, right?
Oh, so that's the historical narrative, but on a philosophical level, the reason you cover her face is because you're saying, look, I'm not marrying you because you're pretty. I'm marrying you even for the parts of you that I don't see. Even for the skeletons in your closet that neither of us are aware of. I'm marrying the totality of your being. Not just the parts of you that I admire, appreciate, and respect, and value, and treasure. Not just the parts of you that I put on a pedestal and therefore I'm committed to you. And the other way around. No. I'm committed to you. In other words, like I said before, because I'm committed to you, that's why you're amazing. My my wife's grandmother, your Bubby, would often ask her husband, Zaidi Gorelik. He would say to her after every funeral, after every wedding, he would say to her, "Achutz von die Kalle bist du gewesen die schönste." Other than the bride, you were the most pretty. You would say that to her, right? Which is an interesting, debatable conversation to have, right? But that's interesting. That's what he said. So she said to him, "But why do you love me?" She would ask him, "But why do you love me?" And he answered her something so beautiful. "But why do you love me?" Has your wife ever asked you this question? Golda asked Tevi asked the question. Do you love me?
Right.
What was the answer? What was the answer she gave?
25 years, I've washed your clothes.
Right?
Why
Yeah.
talk about love right now?
Why talk about love right now? Right?
But then
No,
at the
But
end,
what was her
but
answer?
The evidence was in her.
I
commitment.
guess I
guess I
do.
do.
And
I
guess
suppose I do.
love you too.
I suppose I do, right?
I suppose
So what did she give a good answer, Golda, to Tevye?
Not really.
You don't think so?
I do.
She said, yes,
Take care
her
of you.
answer was the proof was in the pudding.
Proof was in her commitment. Her acts.
Or maybe-
The proof was in the pudding.
Or maybe in other words,
It wasn't just words. She said, look back at our lives.
I'm voting with my feet. Right? So she's saying to him, you want to know if I love you? I give you my all. I'm giving you my all. I'm fully invested for 25 years. Right? That's what she's saying to him.
That's not love. What is?
If that's not love, then what is, right? Now, where I'm going with this is what I was just distracting myself, is I was gonna say that shucks. I was gonna say, do you love me? Do you love me? What was I gonna say? What was it? I give
Why do
it.
you?
You're talking about Zadie Gorelick.
Oh, Zadie Gorelick. I was talking about Zadie Gorelick. So he said, I love you. No, he said, so why do you love me? So he answered a most beautiful answer. Wie bald als du bist meine. Because you're mine. That's why I love you. I don't love you because you're the prettiest, the tallest, the shortest, the greatest thinker, the whatever. I don't love you because you're the best cook or because you're the best baker, best pastry chef. I mean, that's delusional to think. It's like Steve said. She might not be, she's not the best in the world, but she's the best for me. Right? And I think that when it comes to our marriages and even our parenting, think about this for parenting as well. You know why I love you? Because you're mine. I don't love my kid. Imagine you had to give your kids an aptitude test when they turn 17. We're going to evaluate if this was a worthwhile investment now. Today's a big test today. It's like a driving test. We're going to figure out if this is, if we're going to extend the contract. We're going to evaluate if we're going to extend the contract now about whether we're going to keep you or not. Like who does this? I mean, but why not? Think about that. If you do it in a marriage, maybe in marriage you have like a quarterly review. You know, we have quarterly reviews with that. I think that's how some marriages work today.
Yeah.
They do like
Teenagers, they're out.
yeah, but think about it. You do it to your employees. Why wouldn't you do it to your spouse? I mean, if this is a self-centered kind of relationship, I need to know if you're still providing me with the things that you are contractually supposed to be providing me with or not, or maybe you're slacking off, and maybe it's time to to find a better employee, right?
You're suggesting 5-year options in the ketubah.
5-year options of the ketubah, exactly. You should have an out, right?
Every
You should have an
years
out.
you can renew.
But the reason we love our children is vibaldas du bist meine, because you're mine. That's why I love you, warts and all, right? Good, bad, and ugly. We love you because you're mine. You're a piece of me. And the same thing, we look at our spouses like that. That's how we look at our spouses. We say, I'm not under the delusion that you're the smartest or the most beautiful or the most talented. I'm sure there's other people. Every single person in the world, there's going to be every single talent in the world. There's going to be someone out there that is more talented than you. And you have these people that they pick a wife, like they pick out a tomato. They're like measuring and they're feeling and they're squeezing and they touch. What you're looking for the perfect tomato. You think you're going to find the perfect tomato in the Whole Foods or Palm Beach Gardens? You think?
You know how long the perfect tomato's perfect?
And tell me.
About 5 seconds.
Okay,
You
there you
take
go.
it home, you
Exactly. By the time you got home, it got
don't eat
smushed
it's
in the
gone.
car
Yeah.
at the hard stop, and it's done. Right?
Yeah, you don't eat
There you
that.
go.
Right.
You smushed. Right? If you're gonna pick a wife like you pick a tomato, you're in for a very, very unpleasant surprise for the rest of your life. Rather than how do we do it? How do we pick a wife? We say, look, the Rabbi says like this: if there's mashichas halev, if there's a drawing of the heart, in other words, you're attracted to each other, not under the delusion that you're marrying Miss Universe of the history of the world, right? You know, a man marries a woman thinking that she's. A man marries a woman thinking
Never going to change.
she's never going to change. She's going to stay as sweet, as soft-spoken, as kind, as gentle as she is right now. He marries her hoping she's never going to change, and she does. A woman marries a man hoping that this nothing of a guy is going to make it one day in life. He's going to make some money. He's going to get a real job. He's going to invent something. He's going to get an appointment. She marries a man hoping he's going to change, and he doesn't. And then people are left for endless
They're just
disappointment,
disappointed.
right? Instead, imagine you took the approach of Zadie Gorelick. What Zadie Gorelick says, and this is chosen people approach, where he say, I love you because you're mine. I love you because I chose you. Because we're two halves of the same soul. That's the reason. Not because you made a great dessert last Tuesday, or because you figured out how to get tickets to a certain show, or I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. I love you because you're mine, and that's the commitment. Imagine we had the same approach to marriage as we had to parenting. Because just like we don't think about quarterly reviews for our kids, imagine you didn't think about quarterly reviews for your children. And now let's apply that to our relationship with Hashem. In our relationship with Hashem, Hashem says, you're my kid. Am I under the delusion that you're the best? No. I'm sure there's other people out there that are better, but you're mine. And when you realize that Hashem chose you, me, why would he choose me? This is Tanya chapter 46. Like, why would Hashem choose me out of all the people in the world? You know what that does to you if you meditate on this before davening? As water reflects the face, so too does the heart of one man reflect that of his fellow. When you realize that Hashem chose me, what's that? There's like 8 billion people on earth. And there's maybe 18 million Jews in the world. Do the math. That's like, I don't know how many that is. It's like 1 in 1,000. I don't know what the number is. 1 in 1,000?
0.2%.
So 1 out of every 100 human beings, I was chosen. 1 out of 1,000, I think. Whatever. So I'm like, that isn't 2%.
1 out of
0.2%.
0.2% of that.
1 out of every 5.
You just do the math and you're like, I don't understand why you chose me. Imagine you walking around all day today saying, God, why me? Why me? Why did you choose me? Instead of complaining, why me, that I had to have the market crash or something else, you say, why did you choose me? Imagine you say this to your wife, why did you choose me? Why did you choose me? I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. And then what happens is that it arouses the love within you. Let's see in the words of our book over here, page 11. So this being the case, it is not difficult to conclude that just as there exists a certain set of physical objects that have this closeness to divinity, there also exists a certain kind of human being who has a greater propensity for closeness with God. This human being is the Jew, whom Rabbi Yehuda Levi classified as being in a completely different category of existence from the rest of the human race. Why is the Jew in a different category from the rest of the human race? Well, I'm arguing that it's because he was chosen by God. Just like your wife is different to all other human beings because she was chosen by you. What makes the Jew superior to the non-Jew? It is a combination of his genetic makeup and his efforts. Beginning with Adam, we can trace the line of elite descendants who possessed a special kernel of spiritual greatness, passed down from father to son, sometimes even skipping a generation, as in the case of Terach, the father of Abraham, who did not inherit this gene from his father Nachor, but passed it later to his son Abraham. This elite quality continued to pass from individual parent to individual child until Jacob succeeded in transmitting this gene to all of his 12 sons, who in turn sired the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, I'm going to just be very specific about what it means, this elitism. It seems like you're special and you're different. Remember what Tiny chapter 2 tells us. Tiny chapter 2 says that every Jew has a soul which is a piece of God, literally a piece of God, right? Now, if I have a soul which is literally a piece of God, it means that I'm different to the other human beings that don't have a soul, which is literally a piece of God. Every human being has a natural soul, but a Jew has a natural soul plus a godly soul. Okay? A godly soul. That means I'm different. Yes, I'm different. Why does it mean I'm different? Because the godly soul is literally a piece of God. Why is the godly soul infused within me? Because just like in a conjugal relationship, the husband infuses his DNA within the spouse, so too, God has infused his essence within us. That's what it means to be chosen.
But why?
The natural soul is like anything. Yeah, it does. It does. Very good question. Where does the natural soul come from? But it's a far diluted. For example, it's like a husband's relationship with like his kids carry his DNA, but his kids' friends, what do they carry from him? They carry his wisdom. If they sat around his Shabbos table, they heard his stories, they heard his passion, but they don't carry his DNA. So it's a far diluted, far more shallow. They still have a piece of him, but the kids have his DNA, and the friends of the kids have his wisdom or his song or his passion or his personality.
So God infused a piece of himself in the Jews.
Yes.
Why didn't he infuse a piece of himself in any other race? What was it there about?
Because they were chosen. Because they were chosen. He married us in Mount Sinai. That's why. Because he married us.
He thought to do it.
Why didn't you marry every woman in the world? I can't afford it.
I didn't know every woman.
Misha,
in the world.
go ahead.
I didn't know every.
But you
woman
understand
in
my
the world.
question, right? Misha.
So you mean that when a person converts,
Yeah.
He acquires that soul.
Yeah.
Even later in life, I was gonna.
They possess the,
Isn't
they're
it
drawn
they
to
have it
conversion
before
because they
and
possess
then
the
they
Pinto
So all this is correct. All the answers are correct. In other words, yes. When a person converts to Judaism, they acquire.
awaken.
Well, let's say two levels. Number one, they acquire, let's say, a godly soul, like you suggested, like you asked in your question. Yeah, of course, they acquire godly soul, just like a baby boy at a bris, where the godly soul begins to enter at the moment of the bris, or a baby girl at the moment she's named at the Torah. The godly soul begins to enter when she gets her Hebrew name. Now, the question on a deeper level is, why would anybody want to convert in the first place? This Kuzari is called the defenders of in defense of the despised faith. Why would anybody want to join the despised faith?
Because what you said is we have a piece of God in us. So
Because,
by definition-
but I'm talking about Shabbos even more than that. The Gentile who wants to convert to Judaism has that godly soul within him already. It's just that it's like a lost soul, and that's what's pushing him to want so much to convert to Judaism, right? And that's why he does it, right? So I think we're getting some clarity over here. But my point that I want to make sure is clear is that being a Jew, a chosen person, does not mean that you're better than anybody else. It doesn't mean that anybody else you condescending, like nah, like like condescending and saying I am better than you. In the same way that it would be absurd for your wife to turn to all other women of the world and say I am better than you because Chuck has chosen me. Right? I mean, it's like what's wrong with you? Like, relax, Same way, she has a responsibility to you, and that's a private relationship that you have, not to be flaunted. So we have a private relationship with God. We were chosen by God. God chose to infuse his DNA, his essence into us, a piece of his essence into us. It's his godly soul. That's one.
If a non-Jew wants to convert, you're saying that because that non-Jew already had a Jewish soul,
There's a nidus
it's
of
not
it.
covered up. It's not covered. It's uncovered.
Well, it's fighting for recognition. Yeah.
Right. That means you're saying that somewhere in the past they were Jewish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, you're not creating it.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
uncovering.
They were always a Jew. They were just that's what the Talmud says. It's not a non-Jew converts to Judaism. It's a convert who converts to Judaism. Yeah.
If what distinguishes the Jewish nation is that we have the second soul from Hashem. To me, as a perspective of an outsider, has to be that one of resentment. It's not like we have we're better, just simply better looking, which we're deciding or not. But the fact that we have Hashem's second soul would lead.
Are you resentful of somebody who has 6 toes?
No. I want to validate. I just want to validate what Steve is saying. Steve, I want to tell you about an interesting custom. Steve, I want to tell you about an interesting custom that happens at an engagement party, a Jewish engagement party. The groom.
That's not the analogy.
I want to validate you, Steve. There's a custom in a Jewish engagement party that the groom gives out cigarettes.
Cigarettes?
Yep. There is a custom that the groom gives out cigarettes or like candies or something to his friends at a Jewish engagement party. Why? Why? To placate the jealousy of the ones who would have wanted his bride. It's like a sin offering, or like a what's the word? It's like a bribe. It's like saying, listen, you didn't get the girl, at least take a cigarette. Yeah, because there is absolutely a concept of jealousy. Because once a certain woman was chosen, then don't you think that other people aren't like, crestfallen, like I was hoping to marry him? Of course there is. Of course there is. There is such a thing. And that's why we're cognizant. We try to be sensitive of that. Yeah. And by the way, there's a whole concept in Torah about when you're allowed to get engaged, when you're allowed to get married, when you're not allowed to get married. But when it comes to when you're allowed to get engaged, the Torah is like, listen, hurry it up. Do not delay the engagement. Shema yakdimena acher. Say, in case another male will hasten to catch her. That's what it says. In other words, you got to be careful. Yeah, because there's a competition out there. And there's competitiveness and there's jealousy and so on and so forth. Let me just finish this paragraph. When one possesses a special gene, one has the ability to become closer to God than a normal human being. This closeness is achieved through the phenomenon of prophecy, which according to this thesis can only be achieved by Jews. But, added Rabbi Alevi, even a Jew must put in an effort to become a prophet through righteous deeds and holiness. Lots to talk about. We're going to have a lot to unpack over here, folks, but we're going to work